On the planet Zethera, mornings always began with a soft glow that made the floating cities shine like jewels in the sky. The Varelians, Zethera's gentle inhabitants, loved this time of day. They would rise slowly, their delicate wings glinting in the sunlight, and begin their daily routines among gardens that floated mid-air and streams that curved like silver ribbons. Among them lived Princess Liara, daughter of King Rylos, the wise and fair ruler of Zethera. Liara had always been curious about the world beyond her palace. Though her life was comfortable and safe, she longed for adventure. Yet she had never encountered anything dangerous. The people of Zethera lived in peace, and the princess had grown up believing that the galaxy was a calm place, just like her home. This calm, however, was about to change. One bright morning, as Liara floated along the palace gardens, her father summoned her urgently. "Liara," King Rylos said, his voice serious but calm, "a visitor has arrived, a human warrior from another star system. I want you to meet him." Liara's wings fluttered nervously. "Father? A human warrior? What does that mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. King Rylos smiled gently but firmly. "Humans are different from us, Liara. They are strong, brave, and sometimes unpredictable. This human has come to help us." Liara shook her head, a shiver running down her spine. "Not him, father. That human warrior terrifies me." Her father chuckled softly. "I understand, my child, but sometimes fear is the first step toward understanding. Go and see him. You may find he is not what you think." With a mixture of curiosity and apprehension, Liara followed her father to the palace landing platform. Outside, a sleek silver starship hovered just above the ground, its engines glowing faintly. The ship had a design unfamiliar to Varelians: sharp edges, strong angles, and a sense of purpose in every line. A ramp extended from the ship and a figure emerged. He was tall, wearing a simple but sturdy uniform. His hair was dark, and his eyes were a calm blue that seemed to look right into the heart of things. This was Captain Aaron, the human warrior. Liara's wings trembled instinctively. She had never seen anyone like him. He carried no weapon in his hands, yet he radiated confidence, strength, and determination. To Liara, it felt almost overwhelming. "Princess Liara," the human said, bowing slightly. His voice was calm and even, not loud or commanding, but it carried authority. "I am Captain Aaron. I come in peace, and I wish to assist your people." Liara hesitated, keeping her distance. Something about him made her heart race. His presence was intimidating. Even though he hadn't done anything threatening. King Rylos stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on his daughter's shoulder. "Aaron comes with good intentions. He has knowledge of the stars and of threats that we may not yet understand. I trust him, and I hope you can too." Liara nodded slowly, though uneasily. Her curiosity battled with her fear. She watched as Aaron moved among the palace staff, offering assistance and guidance. He helped the engineers repair a malfunctioning energy conduit, speaking in clear, precise terms that the Varelians could understand. The conduit sparked once, but Aaron calmly adjusted the controls, and the device hummed back to life. The princess noticed how the citizens responded to him. They seemed reassured, even inspired by his presence. People moved with purpose, following his directions without hesitation. Liara felt a strange mixture of fear and fascination. This human was unlike any being she had ever known. After inspecting the palace systems, Aaron turned to Liara. "Princess, I understand that my presence may be intimidating," he said with a small smile. "But I am here to help, not to harm. If you wish, I can show you what I know about the cosmic storm approaching Zethera." Liara's wings fluttered nervously. She wanted to refuse, but a small voice inside her wondered if learning from him could help protect her people. Hesitantly, she nodded. Aaron gestured to the palace observatory, a glass dome that overlooked the floating cities and the forested valleys below. Inside, large crystal panels displayed data collected from Zethera's atmosphere and the nearby regions of space. Liara leaned closer, intrigued despite her fear. The storm coming toward Zithra is unlike anything your sensors have recorded before, Aaron explained. It is a combination of charged particles and gravitational anomalies. If it strikes unprepared, it could disrupt your floating cities and energy systems. Liara's eyes widened. How do we stop it? She asked, her voice trembling. Aaron's expression was calm, almost reassuring. We prepare. I will help your engineers and scientists strengthen your energy shields. With the right planning, we can minimize any damage, and your people will be ready. The princess listened closely, realizing that his calmness was not arrogance, it was confidence grounded in knowledge and experience. She had never met anyone who seemed so capable, so fearless, yet kind and respectful. Over the next few hours, Aaron walked Liara through the preparations. He explained concepts like energy deflection, storm modeling, and structural reinforcement in terms she could understand. Slowly, her fear began to shift. The human warrior who had terrified her in the morning was now a teacher, showing her ways to protect her home. Yet, deep inside, a small flicker of anxiety remained. His presence was still overwhelming. She could not explain why someone who had never harmed her could feel so powerful. That evening, as the twin moons of Zithra rose over the floating gardens, Liara sat in her quarters, thinking about the day. She watched the stars reflected in the crystal pools of her room, trying to calm her racing heart. Her thoughts wandered to Aaron. He had done nothing frightening, yet he had changed the way she saw strength. It was not about weapons or aggression, but about courage, knowledge, and the ability to act decisively in the face of danger. Princess Liara realized something important. Perhaps the human warrior was not terrifying because of what he could do, but because he showed her a kind of bravery she had never encountered. As she drifted to sleep, she made a silent promise to herself. She would observe him, learn from him, and perhaps in time understand the true meaning of courage. Outside, the starship remained silently hovering above the palace, its lights reflecting on the city below. Captain Aaron looked toward the horizon, aware of the cosmic storm approaching Zithra, and ready to face it. Unbeknownst to him, a young princess was watching, her fear slowly turning into curiosity, and perhaps the beginning of respect. The night was quiet, but the galaxy, beyond Zithra, was stirring. And in the heart of the floating city, a small spark of adventure had begun. The morning sun rose over Zithra, casting a golden glow on the floating cities. Princess Liara moved quietly through the palace gardens, her wings brushing the soft morning mist. Despite the beauty around her, she felt a strange tension in her chest. Yesterday, the human warrior Captain Aaron had arrived. He had been respectful, calm, and helpful, yet the memory of his presence still made her uneasy. Liara had spent the night thinking about him. She tried to convince herself that she was being irrational. He had done nothing to threaten her. Still, there was something about his confidence, the way he moved, and the ease with which others followed his instructions. It made her heart beat faster. Her father, King Rylos, was already in the council chamber when she arrived. The large room, built of crystalline walls and polished floors, shimmered in the morning light. Verelian engineers, scientists, and advisors had gathered, speaking softly about the approaching cosmic storm. The energy readings projected on the walls flickered like stars. Aaron stood at the center, calmly examining the data. His posture was confident, yet he spoke with patience, explaining each reading to the Verelians. When he noticed Liara, he smiled, briefly. "Good morning, Princess," he said. "I hope you slept well." Liara felt a flicker of fear and curiosity at the same time. I did," she replied, keeping her voice steady. "And you?" "I slept well, thank you," he said simply, returning his attention to the data. King Rylos gestured for Liara to join them. "Princess, I want you to see the preparations. Captain Aaron will help coordinate our defenses. Your people will learn from him." Liara hesitated. She did not yet fully trust this human, but curiosity, and a sense of responsibility for her people made her step forward. She walked slowly, observing him as he moved from one engineer to another, explaining the energy shield enhancements with clear, precise gestures. The engineers followed his instructions, adjusting the floating energy conduits and reinforcing the shield grids. Despite her fear, Liara could not help but notice his skill. Aaron did not rush. He did not demand obedience. Instead, he encouraged, guided, and taught. Every action he took seemed measured, and yet full of strength. As the morning progressed, the princess wandered the palace corridors, observing him from a distance. She watched as he spoke to a group of young Varelians who had gathered near the energy shield controls. They asked questions nervously, and Aaron answered each one with patience. He explained the functions of the shield in simple terms, showing them how the system could adapt to the unpredictable forces of the storm. Liara felt a strange admiration growing inside her. He was still intimidating. She would not lie to herself. But there was also something comforting about the way he shared his knowledge. Unlike anyone she had known, he did not act like a ruler, but like someone who wanted to help. At noon, a minor crisis occurred. One of the floating platforms supporting a city garden began to shake violently. The engineers panicked, unsure how to stabilize it. Liara froze, unsure what to do. She watched Aaron step forward without hesitation. "Steady," he said calmly, moving to the controls. He analyzed the vibrations, adjusted the energy output, and coordinated the workers. Within moments, the platform stabilized. The engineers breathed sighs of relief, and Liara's wings trembled in awe. That was incredible, she whispered to herself. Her fear of him had not disappeared, but it had changed into something different. A mixture of amazement and curiosity. Later, during a break in the preparations, Liara found herself wandering into the palace observatory. Aaron was already there, studying the storm's readings. He glanced up and smiled. "You came," he said. Liara nodded, feeling nervous. "I wanted to understand," she admitted. Aaron motioned to a panel. "Come, I'll show you what I've learned about the storm. It's fascinating, really. The way the energy patterns interact with Zithra's magnetic fields, it's like watching a living creature." As they leaned over the data panels together, Liara noticed how different he was from her people. Humans, she realized, were not like Varelians. They seemed to draw strength from facing challenges directly without fear of failure. She found herself drawn to his confidence and his willingness to act even in uncertainty. "You're not afraid?" she asked quietly, almost in disbelief. Aaron shook his head. "Of course I feel fear. Anyone would. But fear is just information. It tells you what you need to prepare for. Courage is acting despite the fear." Liara thought about his words carefully. She had always believed that fear meant weakness. Now she saw it differently. Fear was not weakness. It was natural and true. Courage was about understanding it and moving forward anyway. Over the next few days, Liara observed Aaron closely. She saw him help the citizens repair their homes, guide engineers through complex calculations, and teach young Varelians new techniques for energy management. Everywhere he went, people responded to him not with fear, but with trust and respect. Still, the princess could not ignore her unease. One evening, as she walked through the palace gardens, she confided in her personal assistant, Irina, a gentle Varelian scholar. "I do not understand him," Liara said softly. "He is so powerful, so confident, and yet he never hurts anyone. It is confusing." Irina smiled. "Perhaps that is why he frightens you. We are not used to strength paired with kindness. Most of the time, strength is loud or demanding. But this human shows a different kind of power, one that inspires rather than intimidates." Liara considered this. Could it be true? Could someone be both powerful and kind? Could she learn from him without being afraid? The next morning, she decided to approach Aaron herself. She found him overseeing repairs near the energy shield controls. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. Captain Aaron, she said softly. He looked up and smiled. Princess Liara, how are you today? I wanted to help, she admitted. Even just a little. Can you teach me? Aaron's smile widened. Of course. There's always something to learn. Come with me. He guided her through the controls, explaining the shield systems and how to adjust them. At first, Liara was clumsy, unsure of the mechanisms. But Aaron was patient, guiding her hand and explaining each step. Slowly, she began to understand. The fear she had felt at his presence was replaced with concentration, curiosity, and a sense of purpose. As the hours passed, Liara realized she was learning more than just mechanics. She was learning confidence. She was learning to trust her own abilities while observing someone stronger. And she was learning that strength could be gentle, not terrifying. By the end of the day, the princess felt a new sense of respect for Aaron. He was not just a warrior. He was a teacher, a guide, and an example of what courage could look like. King Rylos watched from a distance, a knowing smile on his face. He could see the change in his daughter. Her fear was slowly giving way to understanding. And that, he knew, was the first step toward true leadership. That night, as the twin moons of Zithara rose, Liara returned to her quarters, exhausted but exhilarated. She thought about the storm that approached, about the people she was learning to protect, and about the human warrior who had changed her perspective. Her fear had not vanished entirely, but it had transformed. It was no longer a paralyzing force. It was a spark of awareness, a recognition of someone greater than herself, and perhaps a hint of friendship waiting to grow. Outside, Aaron walked along the palace gardens, reviewing the data again. He did not notice the princess watching him. From afar, her eyes wide with curiosity and respect. She realized that while the cosmic storm loomed near, a different storm had begun in her heart. A storm of change, understanding, and the first lessons in courage. For the first time, Princess Liara felt that maybe, just maybe, the human warrior who had terrified her could become an ally, and even a friend. And so, the days on Zithara continued, with preparations for the storm underway and an uneasy but growing trust forming between two very different beings from distant worlds. The princess learned to observe, the warrior to teach, and the people of Zithara to hope. In the stillness of the palace at night, one thing was certain. The arrival of the human warrior had already begun to change Zithara and Princess Liara forever. Days passed on Zithara, and the princess found herself drawn ever closer to the human warrior, Captain Aaron. At first, her fear had been overwhelming. But as she observed him leading the engineers, guiding citizens, and teaching the youth, she realized that his strength was not frightening. It was inspiring. Slowly, the walls of her fear began to crumble, replaced by curiosity and a desire to learn. That morning, Liara awoke early, the twin moons still fading in the sky. She could hear the faint hum of the city's energy shields being tested in preparation for the approaching cosmic storm. The sound was soothing in a strange way, like a heartbeat echoing through the floating platforms. Today I will learn more, she whispered to herself, determination rising inside her. She wrapped a light shawl over her shoulders and made her way to the training grounds where Aaron was already supervising exercises for the young Varelians. When he saw her, he smiled. Good morning, Princess Liara. Are you ready for today's lessons? Liara hesitated, her wings fluttering nervously. I think I am, she replied. Aaron gestured toward a wide platform where several Varelian youth were practicing obstacle courses. We are going to start with agility and problem solving. It will help you stay calm and make decisions quickly, even under pressure. Liara's stomach tightened. She had never thought of herself as particularly strong or skilled in physical tasks. But Aaron's calm presence made her feel a little braver. I'll try, she said softly. The exercise began. Varelians floated through low-gravity tunnels, leaped across gaps between floating platforms, and navigated moving obstacles. Liara followed hesitantly at first, struggling to keep her balance. Aaron noticed and floated beside her. "Don't rush," he said. "Focus on your movements. Watch the obstacles. Plan your path before you act." Liara nodded, taking a deep breath. She studied the platform ahead, noted the movements of the mechanical obstacles, and adjusted her pace. Step by step, she improved. She stumbled a few times, but Aaron's calm encouragement kept her going. "You see," he said with a smile, "mistakes are not failures. They are lessons. Every time you adjust, you become stronger." By the end of the session, Liara could move through the obstacle course with grace. Her confidence grew with every successful leap and careful maneuver. For the first time, she realized that courage was not about being fearless. It was about facing challenges despite fear. After the exercises, Aaron led her to a quiet observation deck overlooking the floating cities. The view was breathtaking. Streams of light from the energy shields crisscrossed the sky, and the people below worked calmly but efficiently to reinforce the city's defenses. "Look at them," Aaron said quietly. "They are not afraid because they know someone is guiding them. Leadership is about more than strength. It's about instilling confidence in others." Liara watched the citizens for a long moment. She thought about her own fear of Aaron and how it had shifted. She realized that he was teaching her something deeper than any physical skill. He was teaching her how to inspire and protect, not through power alone, but through knowledge and composure. "I understand," she said softly. "I was afraid because I didn't understand. I didn't know how someone could be strong and kind at the same time." Aaron nodded. "It is unusual, but strength without compassion is dangerous. True courage is tempered with care for others. That is what makes a leader." Liara absorbed his words, feeling a warmth of respect growing inside her. She wanted to learn more, to be more like him, not by mimicking him, but by finding her own courage. The next few days passed in a flurry of activity. Aaron continued to teach, guiding Liara and the youth through exercises in problem-solving, teamwork, and practical knowledge about the energy shields. He showed them how to analyze storm patterns, adjust energy flows, and maintain the delicate balance of their floating cities. Liara discovered that she had a natural talent for understanding the shields. Under Aaron's guidance, she devised small improvements that made the systems more efficient. Each time she succeeded, her confidence grew. She felt a sense of pride and responsibility she had never experienced before. One afternoon, while Aaron was explaining the energy patterns of the storm, Liara asked, "Captain, how do you stay calm when everything is uncertain?" Aaron paused, considering her question. "I focus on what I can control," he said finally. "I cannot stop the storm from existing. I cannot control every variable, but I can control my actions, my choices, and how I respond. That focus helps me act without panic." Liara thought about her own life, where she had often avoided difficult situations. She realized that fear had kept her from truly understanding herself and her abilities. Aaron was showing her a new path, a path where she could face challenges, make decisions, and help others with confidence. Later that day, Aaron introduced Liara to a group of young Varelians who were curious but shy. "Princess Liara," he said, "would you like to lead this exercise?" Liara's heart raced. Leading others was far more intimidating than any obstacle course, but she remembered Aaron's words about courage and control. She took a deep breath and nodded. "Follow my instructions carefully," she said, surprising, even herself with the clarity of her voice. "Watch the obstacles, move slowly and think before you act. Work together and help each other." The young Varelians followed her guidance, and the exercise went smoothly. When it ended, Aaron smiled proudly. "Well done, Princess. You see what happens when knowledge, patience, and courage combine? You inspire others. That is true leadership." Liara's wings trembled with excitement and pride. She had always thought of herself as timid, sheltered, and cautious. Now she realized that she could lead, inspire, and protect. And she had Aaron to thank, not as someone to fear, but as someone to learn from. The next evening, the princess wandered through the palace gardens, reflecting on the lessons of the day. The twin moons glowed softly above the floating trees, casting gentle shadows on the crystal walkways. She thought about the cosmic storm, the preparation of the city, and the people who depended on her. For the first time, she felt a deep sense of responsibility, not just as a princess, but as a protector of her people. And she felt a connection to Eren, the human warrior who had transformed her fear into understanding and her uncertainty into courage. Liara realized something important. Courage was not the absence of fear. It was the choice to act wisely, to protect others, and to face challenges with calm determination. And Eren had taught her that without even trying, simply by being himself. That night, as the city settled under the protective glow of the energy shields, Liara sat in her quarters, her mind alive with ideas. She planned new exercises for the youth, new strategies for energy management, and new ways to help her people feel safe. Eren's presence had changed her life in ways she could not have imagined. He had shown her that fear could be transformed into respect, that strength could be paired with kindness, and that courage was a skill to be practiced, not an innate trait. And deep inside, Liara felt something else, an anticipation, a quiet excitement for the days to come. The cosmic storm still loomed, but she no longer felt powerless. With Eren's guidance and with her own growing courage, she was ready to face the challenges ahead. The night on Zithra was calm, but the lessons of courage and leadership were only beginning. And Princess Liara, once terrified of the human warrior, now looked forward to learning more from him, growing stronger and discovering the hero within herself. Outside, Eren continued his work, unaware of how much influence he had already had on the princess. But Liara knew. She had seen his patience, his wisdom, and his courage. She had begun to understand that true strength was not in intimidation, but in the quiet, steady power to inspire and protect. And so, on the floating city of Zithra, amidst preparation for the storm, a bond was forming, not of fear but of trust, respect, and the first lessons of bravery that would carry the princess and her people through the trials ahead. The skies above Zithra darkened as the twin suns dipped toward the horizon. The clouds shimmered with strange electric colors, rippling in ways the Varelians had never seen. The approaching cosmic storm was closer now, its energy radiating across the floating cities. Even from a distance, Liara could feel the hum of the charged particles in the air. Princess Liara stood on the palace balcony, her wings folded tightly behind her. She had never felt anything like this before. The storm's power was immense, yet Eren remained calm, moving among the engineers and citizens like a steady anchor. "Princess," Eren said gently, noticing her tense posture. "I know it looks frightening, but we've prepared well. The shields are reinforced and the people are ready." Liara swallowed hard. "I know, but it still feels overwhelming." Eren nodded, understanding. "Fear is natural. It tells us the situation is serious. The important part is how we respond. Focus on what you can do and let the preparation guide the rest." The first waves of the storm arrived as glowing arcs of energy streaked across the sky, illuminating the floating platforms and casting brilliant shadows. Citizens scattered to safe zones, following the guidance of Eren and the Varelian leaders. Liara's heart raced, but she forced herself to breathe deeply, remembering the lessons she had learned. Courage was action, not the absence of fear. Eren moved through the city with quiet efficiency. He directed the engineers to adjust the energy shields, rerouting power to areas under the greatest strain. He encouraged the citizens to stay calm, demonstrating a kind of strength that inspired confidence rather than panic. Liara followed him, keeping a close eye on the shield systems. When an energy node faltered, Eren calmly pointed out the necessary adjustment, explaining each step so the engineers could act quickly and correctly. Even in the midst of chaos, his voice was steady, like a lighthouse guiding ships through a storm. "You see," he said softly, noticing Liara's anxious gaze. The storm is powerful, but we are prepared. Panic is our enemy. Focus and calm will see us through. Liara nodded, her fear slowly transforming into determination. She relayed instructions to the young Varelians helping with the shields, feeling a surge of pride as they followed her guidance accurately. For the first time, she realized she could be more than a frightened princess. She could be a leader. The storm intensified. Electric arcs danced across the skies, striking near the floating cities and sending tremors through the platforms. Some citizens stumbled, frightened by the display, but Aaron was everywhere, moving calmly, correcting errors, and reassuring those in need. His presence was not frightening now, it was grounding. Liara could feel the fear in her chest slowly, fading, replaced with awe and trust. "Princess Liara," Aaron called, gesturing to a failing shield on a distant platform. "That section needs reinforcement. Can you coordinate the response?" Liara's heart pounded. This was real and it was frightening. But she remembered his lessons. Focus on what you can control, act with patience, and guide others with clarity. "Yes, I can," she replied firmly. She directed the Varelian engineers and young trainees to adjust the energy conduits. They worked as a team, following her instructions, and within moments, the shield stabilized. The trembling platform steadied, and the citizens watching breathed. Sighs of relief. Aaron gave her an approving nod. "Well done. You see what courage and focus can accomplish? Not just for yourself, but for others as well." Liara smiled faintly, her wings trembling with exhaustion and excitement. She realized something profound. True courage was about taking responsibility, even when fear was present, and acting with wisdom and calm. As the storm raged on, Aaron continued to move through the city, solving problems, reinforcing shields, and guiding the people. He showed Liara how to anticipate the storm's patterns, adjusting the shield frequencies before the next surge of energy struck. Hours passed, but the storm did not relent. Light streaked across the skies like silver rivers, thunder-like vibrations shook the platforms, and the citizens relied on Aaron's steady presence. Liara watched him, amazed at how someone could remain so calm in the face of danger. "You're incredible," she whispered to herself. "I was so afraid. And now I see what true strength is." Aaron paused beside her, noticing her gaze. "Princess Liara, you've done well. You've guided others, remained calm, and helped protect your people. That is courage, and it is just as important as physical strength." Liara's heart swelled with pride. She had faced her fear, not by ignoring it, but by acting despite it. She had learned to lead, to think clearly under pressure, and to inspire others. And she had learned that the human warrior she had once feared was not terrifying at all. He was a teacher, a guide, and a friend. As the storm reached its peak, a massive surge of energy struck the city's outer shield. Sparks flew, and the platforms trembled violently. Citizens screamed, panic threatening to spread. Aaron moved instantly, directing engineers and citizens with calm authority. "Redirect power. Stabilize the node. Keep moving, and stay calm." Liara took a deep breath and followed his instructions, guiding the Varelian youth as they adjusted the energy flows. The shield quivered but held firm. Slowly the surge passed and the tremors faded. The citizens cheered, their relief palpable. Aaron approached Liara, smiling despite the chaos around them. "See? We faced it together. You kept your head, guided others, and helped protect the city. That is real courage." Liara's wings trembled as she realized the truth of his words. She had once been terrified of this human warrior, yet now, in the midst of a cosmic storm, she saw him not as frightening, but as a source of strength and inspiration. The storm gradually began to abate, leaving the skies lit with the fading glow of charged energy. The floating cities shimmered under the repaired shields, and the citizens emerged from their safe zones, exhausted, but safe. Liara stood beside Aaron, watching as the engineers made final adjustments to the shield systems. "You did well today, Princess," Aaron said quietly. "You faced fear, acted wisely, and helped others. That is the mark of true leadership. Liara smiled, feeling a warmth in her heart. I understand now, she said softly. It wasn't the storm I had to face. It was my own fear. And with your guidance, I did it. Aaron nodded. Exactly. Courage grows when we face our fears, not by avoiding them. And now, you can help others find their courage as well. King Rylos approached, his face filled with pride. Liara, I am proud of you. You faced the storm, guided your people, and learned lessons that no books could teach. You have grown into a true leader today. Liara looked at her father, and then at Aaron. She felt gratitude, respect, and a newfound confidence. The storm had tested not only the city's defenses but also the strength of her spirit. She had learned that fear was not weakness, but a signal to act wisely and courageously. That evening, as the citizens celebrated their safety, Liara reflected on the day's events. She had once trembled at the sight of Aaron, frightened by his presence. Now she realized that he had not been terrifying at all. He had been a teacher, showing her what courage, wisdom, and true strength looked like. And in that moment, Princess Liara understood something even greater. The greatest storms were not always in the skies, but within ourselves. By facing them with patience, focus, and courage, one could emerge stronger, wiser, and ready to lead. Aaron stood nearby, unaware of how much he had changed the princess. But Liara knew. She had faced her fears, learned from him, and discovered the hero within herself. The skies of Zithera were calm now, but the lessons of the cosmic storm would remain forever. Princess Liara, once terrified of the human warrior, now saw him as a friend, mentor, and symbol of hope. And she knew that together, they could face whatever challenges the galaxy might bring. The night was quiet, but the floating cities glowed brightly under the protective shields. Liara sat in her chambers, wings folding gently around her, reflecting on everything she had learned. Courage, she realized, was not about the absence of fear. It was about action, guidance, and care for others. The morning after the cosmic storm, Zithera was calm, but the energy in the air was different. The citizens moved with purpose, their spirits lifted by the safety of the floating cities and the knowledge that their home had survived a great test. Princess Liara stood on the palace balcony, watching the sunrise shimmer across the crystalline platforms. Her wings trembled slightly, not from fear, but from excitement and pride. Yesterday had changed everything. She had faced her fear, guided the citizens, and learned what courage truly meant. And she had learned another lesson, one that was even more important. Trust and understanding could turn fear into respect, and respect into friendship. Liara turned toward the palace gardens and saw Captain Aaron walking calmly among the engineers. Even in the aftermath of the storm, he remained composed, assisting the citizens with repairs and encouraging the young Virelians. Father, Liara said softly, turning to King Rylos, who stood beside her, I understand now. The human warrior isn't terrifying. He inspires people. He inspires me. King Rylos smiled. I am glad you see it, my child. Courage, wisdom, and respect often come from the most unexpected places. Aaron has shown you these qualities not through fear but through action. Liara nodded, feeling a warmth in her chest. She had once shied away from his presence, worried about his strength. Now she saw it differently. Strength was not about intimidation. Strength was about guidance, knowledge, and the ability to help. Others faced challenges. She descended into the gardens, her wings folding gracefully behind her. The morning air was fresh, scented with the floating blossoms of Zithera. The city hummed with life as citizens repaired minor damages from the storm, and the young Virelians practiced their skills under Aaron's watchful guidance. Liara approached Aaron, who looked up and smiled when he saw her. Princess Liara, he said, his voice calm as ever. Good morning, how are you feeling today? Liara's heart raced. I am feeling brave, she admitted, surprising herself. And grateful. I wanted to thank you for everything. You've taught me so much, not just about the storm, but about courage, leadership, and responsibility. Aaron tilted his head slightly, smiling. I am glad to hear that, but you must remember you learned these things yourself. I only helped guide you. The courage came from you, Princess. Liara felt a swell of pride. She realized he was right. The lessons he taught were important, but the action, the courage, had been hers all along. She had faced her fears, directed others, and protected her people. That was her achievement, and Aaron had been there to show her the way. Then, will you help me continue learning? She asked. There is still so much I want to understand about protecting our people, guiding the young and leading wisely. Aaron's smile widened. Of course. There is always more to learn, and I am glad to help. Over the next several days, Liara and Aaron worked closely together. She learned how to anticipate challenges, how to organize her people efficiently, and how to make decisions calmly under pressure. She guided the young Varelians in simulations of potential crises, teaching them what she had learned from Aaron. The people of Zithera began to notice the princess's transformation. Her confidence and calmness inspired them, just as Aaron had inspired her. Citizens who had once doubted the city's ability to withstand the storm now looked to her for guidance, and Liara felt a sense of fulfillment unlike anything she had known before. One afternoon, after a long day of preparation and instruction, Liara and Aaron walked together along the palace gardens. The twin moons were rising, casting soft silver light over the floating platforms. Captain Aaron, Liara began softly. I wanted to ask, why do humans travel so far from their homes to help others? Your people could have stayed safe, yet you came here to guide us. Aaron looked out at the horizon, thoughtful. Humans. We value connection and responsibility. When we see someone in need, we try to help. Not because we want reward or recognition, but because helping is the right thing to do. Courage is not only for yourself, it is for the people around you. Liara thought about this deeply. I think, I understand now. That is why I feel safe around you. Not because you are strong, but because you care. Aaron smiled. Exactly. True strength is shown through care, wisdom, and action. That is what makes leaders and what makes people trust you. The princess felt her wings flutter with excitement. She realized that she had not only learned from Aaron, but she had also learned about herself. She had discovered her own courage, her own ability to guide and protect, and her own capacity to inspire. And she had found a friend in someone from a completely different world, a human warrior who had once terrified her. That evening, as the city rested and the stars began to twinkle above Zithera, Liara reflected on the past days. The cosmic storm had tested the city, but it had also tested her spirit. She had faced fear, guided others, and grown into a leader worthy of her people. And Aaron had been there not to frighten her, but to guide her and show her the path to courage. The next morning, King Rylos called a gathering in the palace courtyard. Citizens, engineers, and young Varelians assembled to hear the announcement. The princess and Aaron stood beside him, both calm and confident. My people, King Rylos began, we have faced a great challenge. The cosmic storm tested our city and our spirit. And we have emerged stronger thanks to the courage, wisdom, and guidance of many, including Princess Liara and Captain Aaron. The crowd erupted in applause. Liara's heart swelled as she realized the truth of the words. The lessons she had learned were not just for her, they had strengthened the entire city. She felt a deep sense of connection to her people and to Aaron, who had helped her see the hero within herself. After the ceremony, Liara approached Aaron privately. I wanted to say, thank you again. You have changed me, and I will never forget it. I hope we can continue to work together, not just in preparing for storms, but in leading Zithera wisely. Aaron nodded, his calm blue eyes meeting hers. I would be honored, Princess Liara. Together we can help your people and perhaps teach them that courage and kindness are the greatest strengths of all. Liara smiled, feeling a warmth of respect and friendship she had never known before. She realized that the human warrior she had once feared had become one of her greatest allies. The days that followed were filled with continued preparation, training, and shared learning. Liara became a guiding presence among the youth, teaching them the lessons she had learned from Aaron. The citizens of Zithera saw a new kind of leadership, one that combined strength, courage, and compassion. Aaron, in turn, found joy in observing the princess grow. He had arrived on Zithera to help protect the city, but he had also helped nurture a leader whose courage would inspire generations. And in return, he had discovered that trust and friendship could be formed even across the vast distances of the galaxy. One evening, as the twin moons cast their silver glow across the floating gardens, Liara and Aaron stood together overlooking the city. The wind ruffled their hair and feathers, carrying the soft hum of energy shields. "You know," Liara said softly, "I used to be afraid of you. I thought your strength was frightening. But now, I see that it is the kind of strength I want to have. Not to scare others, but to guide and protect them." Aaron smiled. "That is exactly what courage is, Princess. And now, you have it within you. You have learned well." Liara looked out over the floating city, the lights of the citizens, reflecting like stars in the crystal platforms. She felt a deep sense of gratitude not just for Aaron, but for the experiences that had shaped her. She had faced fear, embraced courage, and discovered her own strength. And she had gained a friend who would guide her in the challenges yet to come. King Rylos joined them, placing a hand on Liara's shoulder. "Princess, you have grown beyond my expectations. The storm tested all of us, but it revealed the hero within you, and it has taught us all the power of trust, guidance, and unity." Liara smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Father, and thank you, Captain Aaron. Together we have learned that courage is not just for battle. It is for life, for leadership, and for protecting those we care about." Aaron nodded, his calm smile reflecting pride and respect. "And together, we will face whatever comes next. For courage, trust, and friendship will guide us through any storm." As the night settled over Zithera, Princess Liara felt a new confidence growing inside her. She had once been terrified of the human warrior. Now she saw him as a friend, a mentor, and a symbol of hope. The cosmic storm had passed, but the lessons she had learned would remain forever. And in the calm of the floating city, under the silver glow of the twin moons, Liara realized something profound. The greatest power in the galaxy was not in weapons, ships, or strength alone. It was in courage, kindness, and the ability to inspire others. With Aaron by her side, and her people, looking to her with trust and hope, the princess knew that Zithera's future was bright. Together, they would face the challenges ahead, guided by courage, wisdom, and the bonds of friendship that had been forged in the storm. And so, the story of the human warrior and the Varelian princess came full circle. Fear transformed into respect, strength paired with kindness and courage became a legacy that would shine across Zithera for generations to come. Princess Liara smiled, feeling the warmth of